The encounter of the night sky above the alien world burned with strange colors. A mix of violet and green light that shimmered like living fire. A lone human staggered through the glowing forest, his breaths sharp and uneven. His name was Daniel. A soldier-turned-explorer, stranded after his small shuttle had crashed into this wild land. Blood ran down his arm, and every step felt heavier than the last. The trees around him were alive with whispering sounds, and the ground pulsed faintly, as if the planet itself was breathing. He fell to his knees, gasping, his vision darkening. The forest seemed to close in, watching, waiting. He knew he would not last much longer. Alone, far from his own kind, he would die here, unseen and forgotten. But then, out of the silence, he heard movement. Soft footsteps, almost like a song. His eyes flickered open, and there she was. A figure stepped from the shadows, tall and graceful. Her skin a soft silver glow under the alien light. Her eyes were like molten gold, bright yet unreadable. She wore strange woven fabric that shimmered, with the same colors as the sky. Her presence was both terrifying and beautiful, like something sacred. Daniel could only stare, his breath caught in his chest. The alien woman tilted her head, studying him with curiosity. She did not speak at first. Instead, she knelt down slowly, as though approaching a dangerous beast. Her hand hovered over his wounded arm. Daniel tried to pull back, weakly shaking his head. But he had no strength left. Her fingers finally touched his skin. A shock of warmth spread through his body, unlike anything he had ever felt. His pain dulled instantly, replaced by a rush of energy. His heartbeat steadied, and the bleeding slowed as if invisible threads were sewing his flesh together. His lungs filled with air more easily, and he felt stronger. Daniel's eyes widened. What? What is this? The alien woman gasped, pulling her hand back in shock. Her golden eyes widened as though she had seen something impossible. She looked at her own fingers, then back at him, whispering in a voice soft but trembling. Why? Why does your body respond like this? Her words carried both fear and wonder. Daniel forced himself to sit up, confusion written across his face. What did you do to me? He asked, his voice hoarse. She shook her head, her silver hair shimmering in the strange light. No, it is not me. It is you, your body. It grows stronger at my touch. That should not be. The forest seemed to grow silent around them, as if even the living trees were listening. Daniel touched his own arm where her hand had been, feeling that heat still burning under his skin. His muscles no longer trembled with weakness. His sight was clearer, sharper. He could even hear the faint hum of energy in the plants around him. He looked at her again, truly seeing her now. She was not just another alien, she was something rare, something hidden. And from the way she stared at him, he could tell this was as shocking for her as it was for him. Suddenly, a distant roar echoed through the forest. The ground shuddered, and the alien woman's head snapped up in alarm. She whispered quickly in her own tongue, then grabbed his hand without hesitation. Daniel felt another wave of strength shoot through him the moment she touched him again. His body obeyed her grip, his legs moving even though moments before he could barely stand. Come, she ordered, this time in broken human language, her voice urgent dumbled beside her as they ran through the glowing trees. The forest was alive with danger, the roars growing louder. His heart pounded, but strangely, he did not feel weak or afraid. Every step filled him with more strength as long as her hand was in his. Finally, they ducked into a cave hidden by thick vines. The alien woman released him and pressed her back to the wall, her chest rising and falling. She looked at him again. Her eyes narrowed, her voice low but intense. This is not possible, she whispered, almost to herself. No human should react to me like this. My touch heals only my people, slowly. But you. She pointed at him, her hand trembling. You grow strong. You become more. Daniel's mind spun with questions. Who was she? What had she done to him? Why did his body respond like this? But even more than the questions, one truth pressed. Into his thoughts, he felt alive, more alive than he ever had before. The silence between them stretched, heavy and strange. Outside, the forest roared with unseen monsters, but inside the cave, there was only the two of them. Bound by something neither understood, and in that silence, Daniel realized something chilling. If her people discovered what her touch did to him, they might see him as a weapon. Or worse, the alien woman's voice broke the silence, soft and filled with something like fear. Human, we are in danger now. Both of us. The forbidden gift, the cave was silent, except for Daniel's heavy breathing and the faint hum of the alien forest outside. He leaned against the stone wall, staring at his hands in disbelief. A short while ago, he was close to death. Now, after her touch, his body felt stronger than ever. His wounds were gone, his vision sharp, and his muscles alive with power. The alien woman kept her golden eyes fixed on him, studying every breath he took. Her name finally slipped from her lips in a soft whisper. Leora. Daniel repeated, it quietly testing the sound. Leora. She nodded once, but did not smile. Her face was calm, but her eyes held unease. She seemed more troubled than relieved. Daniel could not understand why. You saved me, he said. But she shook her head. No, I touched you. That was enough, but it should not happen. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? Leora hesitated, as if deciding how much to reveal. Finally, she placed her hand on her chest. My people carry the flow. It is a gift. From the world itself, it heals our kind, but slowly. Very slowly. A cut might close in a day. A broken bone in weeks. Daniel's eyes narrowed, and with me, her voice dropped lower, almost afraid of her own words. With you, human, it is instant. Too fast, too strong. The truth struck him like thunder. Her touch did not just heal him, it made him more. He remembered the rush of power when she held his hand in the forest. The way his weak body had obeyed her grip, carrying him farther than he should have been able to run. It was not healing. It was something else. Daniel looked at her carefully. Why me? Her expression hardened. I do not know. That is what makes it dangerous. Before he could ask more, she moved to the cave entrance and peeked out. The forest still pulsed. With strange noises, she listened, her sharp ears catching sounds Daniel could not. Then she returned and sat a careful distance from him, her body tense. Daniel could not help but notice the way she avoided touching him again, almost as if she feared what might happen next. He leaned forward. You didn't have to save me. Why did you? For the first time, her golden eyes softened. She glanced down, her voice quiet. Because you looked alone, broken. My people would have left you. But something inside me would not. Daniel nodded slowly. Her words felt honest. Yet he could see the weight she carried, fear of her tribe, fear of what she had discovered. Hours passed, the cave wrapped in silence. The alien night outside glowed faintly as the strange plants pulsed with energy. Daniel finally drifted into sleep, his body still buzzing with the echo of her touch. When he awoke, dawn had arrived. Though dawn on this planet was unlike Earth, the sky glimmered with rivers of light, and the air seemed to sing faintly. Leora was still there, sitting near the entrance, her eyes fixed on the horizon. He joined her, carefully stepping closer. You've been awake all night. She nodded. I was thinking about me. He asked with a half-dashed smile. Her golden eyes cut toward him. Yes, about you. And what will happen if others find out? Daniel frowned. Others, my people, she said firmly. They fear what they do not understand. If they learn your body responds to me this way, they will not see you as a man. They will see you as a weapon. Or worse, a curse. The words sank deep into Daniel's mind. He pictured being dragged into some alien council, chained, forced to demonstrate his gift. He knew she was right. Power always attracted fear, and fear often led to violence. So, what do we do? He asked. Leora hesitated, then whispered, we hide it. For now, no one must know what my touch does to you. Daniel nodded. He had no other choice. Yet even as he agreed, he could feel the memory of her touch burning inside him. Impossible to forget. As the day grew brighter, Leora led him out of the cave. They moved carefully through the glowing forest, her steps light and silent. Daniel followed, aware that every time his shoulder brushed hers, energy pulsed faintly through his veins. She noticed too, her eyes flicked toward him each time, troubled, but unable to ignore the reaction. By midday, they reached the edge of a vast valley. Below, hidden between towering cliffs, lay a village of her people. The structures shimmered with living light, grown from the same strange plants as the forest. Alien figures moved through the streets, tall and graceful, their silver skin glinting in the sun. Daniel froze. You want to take me? There Leora nodded slowly. Yes, you cannot survive alone, and I cannot abandon you. But, she fixed him with a piercing gaze. You must not touch me. Not in front of them. Do you understand, human? Daniel swallowed hard. He nodded. I understand, but deep inside, he wondered how long they could keep such a secret. Already his body yearned for her touch, for that impossible strength that made him feel more alive than ever before as they descended toward the alien village. Daniel felt the weight of two truths pressing down on him. One, without her, he might not survive this world. Two of her people discovered what her touch awakened in him. Neither of them might survive at all, and somewhere, buried beneath the fear, a question burned brighter than all others. Why him? Why did his body, out of all humans, respond to her in such a way? The answer, he knew, would change everything. Daniel followed Leora into the alien village, every sense sharpened by both fear and fascination. The air here was different, filled with a humming energy that seemed to vibrate in his bones. The homes were not built, but grown, their walls alive with glowing veins of light. Children with silver skin played near fountains of crystal water, their laughter soft and melodic. Yet, when the villagers noticed him, silence spread like fire. Eyes turned, voices hushed, and every step Daniel took felt heavier under their stares. Leora walked with calm grace, though Daniel could sense the tension in her body. She led him through the crowd, speaking quickly in her language, her tone commanding. Some bowed their heads, some frowned, and others whispered. The words carried suspicion. Daniel could feel it, even if he didn't understand them. Finally, he reached a large open hall at the center of the village. Inside, alien figures older and taller than the rest waited. Their skin was darker, their eyes sharper, their presence commanding. The council Daniel felt their gaze pierce through him like blades. One elder spoke, his voice deep, his golden eyes cold. Leora translated softly. He asks why you are here, human? Why you live when your ship is broken? Daniel stood tall, though his heart raced. Because she saved me, he said, nodding toward Leora. Gasps spread through the hall. Leora quickly added words in her own tongue, but the suspicion in the council's eyes only grew sharper. Another elder leaned forward, his tone sharp. Leora translated again, her voice hesitant. He says, "Our people do not save outsiders." He asks what price you paid me, or what secret you hide. Daniel clenched his fists. He wanted to shout, to tell them the truth that he owed Leora his life. But he remembered her warning. If they knew her touch gave him strength, everything would spiral out of control. Instead, he bowed his head. "I hide nothing. I only want peace, shelter, food. Nothing more." The elders exchanged long glances. Finally, they nodded slowly, though their eyes never softened. Permission was given, but trust was not. Leora guided him outside. Relief flickered across her face, but her eyes remained troubled. Daniel knew why. The secret weighed heavy between them, a dangerous bond that could not stay hidden forever. The days that followed were filled with uneasy peace. Daniel was given a small place to wrest food from the villagers and tasks to prove his worth. He worked alongside them, gathering strange plants, carrying water, and learning fragments of their language. But everywhere he went, eyes followed him. Whispers chased his steps. The villagers were curious. Too curious. One day, while Daniel was carrying heavy bundles of glowing wood, a group of alien warriors approached. Their leader was tall, his silver skin marked with faint scars, his eyes sharp with distrust. He stopped Daniel with a raised hand. "You are strong for a human," the warrior said, in broken English, his tone accusing. "Too strong." Daniel froze, his heart pounded. Did they know? The warrior stepped closer, studying him like prey. "When you came, you were broken. Now you lift more than some of us." Why? Daniel forced a smile. "I was weak because of my wounds. Now I heal. Right, is all." But the warrior's eyes narrowed, unconvinced. He reached out suddenly, gripping Daniel's arm hard. Pain shot through him, but Daniel did not react. He could not show weakness. The warrior smirked, but before he could say more, a sharp voice cut the air. Enough. It was Leora. She stepped between them, her golden eyes fierce. She spoke quickly in her own tongue, her words sharp as a blade. The warrior growled, but finally released Daniel, his glare lingering as he walked away with his men. Daniel let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "They suspect." Leora nodded, her face grim. "Yes, they watch you. They wonder why. Your body changes so fast, they will not stop asking." Daniel's jaw tightened. "How long can we keep it secret?" She looked at him, her eyes troubled. "Not long. Already, some believe you are more than human. If they discover the truth, they will want to test it, to use it." The thought chilled Daniel. He pictured himself strapped down, touched and prodded like an experiment. Or, worse, forced into battle as their weapon. That night, as he lay awake in his small dwelling, Daniel could not shake the unease. Every time he closed his eyes, he remembered the rush of strength her touch gave him. He remembered the way his wounds sealed shut, the way his senses sharpened. He wanted it again, needed it, yet feared what it meant, as if hearing his thoughts. Leora appeared silently at his doorway. She stepped inside, her face lit by the faint glow of the alien moon. "You must be careful," she whispered. "Your body betrays you. It shows them more than you realize." Daniel sat up. "Then what do we do?" Her gaze lingered on him, heavy with something unspoken. "We stay close. We watch them. And we pray no one sees what happens when I touch you." But even as she spoke, her fingers brushed against his hand, just for a second. The familiar warmth shot through him, flooding his body with power. His heart raced. His breath quickened, and Leora's eyes widened with the same fear as before, because she felt it too. Days turned into weeks, and Daniel lived among the aliens. Always watched, always judged. Some treated him with cold silence, others with open suspicion. But there were a few, mostly the young, who looked at him with fascination. They whispered about his strange resilience, about how quickly he had recovered from his wounds. Daniel pretended not to notice. But deep inside, he knew the truth was pressing against the walls of secrecy. Leora knew it too. She avoided touching him in public, avoided being too close. But every night, when no one could see, they spoke in whispers, and sometimes, without meaning to. Her hand brushed against his. And every time, his body answered stronger, faster, sharper. One evening, Leora came to him with urgency in her eyes. "There is a place," she whispered. "An old place. I think it may hold answers." Daniel leaned forward. "Answers too." This, he gestured to himself, to the strange power that her touch awakened. She nodded. "Yes, the elders speak of it in fear, but I have read the old records. Long ago, our people met others, not like us, not from this world. They tried to join with them, but something went wrong. The story was buried, forbidden." Daniel felt a chill. Humans. Her golden eyes held his. Perhaps. That night, under the cover of darkness, Leora led him out of the village. They moved quickly through the glowing forest, the trees whispering, as if warning them. Daniel felt uneasy, but also drawn forward, as though fate itself was pulling him. After hours of walking, they reached a cliffside where vines covered a massive stone door. Strange markings glowed faintly on its surface. The moment Daniel touched the stone, a warmth stirred in his chest. The symbols shimmered brighter. Liora gasped. "It responds to you." With effort, they pushed the door open and stepped inside. The air was heavy, filled with the scent of age and dust. The walls of the chamber were covered in carving scenes of tall silver-skinned figures standing beside shorter, strange beings with round faces and darker skin. Daniel froze. The figures looked human. He stepped closer, tracing the lines of the carvings. They showed exchanges between the two species, sharing food, sharing knowledge, even sharing touch. And then the images grew darker. Battles, fire, death at the end of the wall. One final carving showed a human hand and an alien hand reaching toward each other, a burst of light between them. Daniel's breath caught. This is what's happening now. Leora's face was pale. She touched the carving gently. "Yes, our ancestors must have discovered it before. Your kind and mine when joined, something awakens, something powerful. But they feared it. They destroyed the record. They buried this place." Daniel stared at the last carving again. The human and alien hands, bound by light. A connection stronger than either alone. His mind raced with possibilities. Could this be why her touch made him stronger? Was it not chance, but destiny? Before he could speak, a sound echoed through the chamber. A low rumble, like footsteps. Leora's eyes widened. "We are not alone." Torches flared at the entrance. Alien warriors stepped inside, led by the same scarred fighter who had confronted Daniel days before. His golden eyes burned with triumph. "I knew you hid something." The warrior growled in his own tongue, though Daniel understood the intent clearly. His gaze shifted to the carvings. Forbidden places, forbidden truths. Leora stepped in. Front of Daniel, her voice sharp. "You do not understand." The warrior sneered. "I understand enough. His presence is dangerous. Your touch makes him more than he should be. That is why you hide in the dark. That is why you come here." Daniel felt his heart pound. He could deny it, but the warrior's eyes already held certainty. The secret was no longer safe. The soldiers advanced, their weapons glowing faintly. Daniel's instincts screamed to fight, but he knew without Leora's touch he could not stand against them. And then it happened. As one of the warriors lunged forward, Leora's hand brushed Daniel's arm. The surge hit him like fire, flooding his body with impossible energy. His muscles tightened, his vision sharpened. His whole being alive with strength. The warriors froze, their eyes wide as Daniel caught the attacker's weapon mid-swing and shoved him back with a single push. The man flew across the chamber, crashing into the wall with a heavy thud. The silence that followed was thick with fear. The scarred warrior pointed at Daniel, his voice filled with fury. "See, he is not human anymore. He is something else, something dangerous." The other warriors raised their weapons. Leora gripped Daniel's hand tightly, whispering, "Run." The carvings on the walls glowed brighter as they fled deeper into the chamber, the symbols responding to their joined touch. Behind them, the warriors shouted and gave chase, and as Daniel ran, powered by her hand, he realized something terrifying and undeniable. The secret was no longer a secret. The whole village would soon know. The night was restless in the alien village. Whispers spread faster than fire, carrying the story of what had happened in the forbidden ruins. The scarred warrior had returned, limping but alive, and his words were enough to poison the council's ears. The human grows stronger by her touch, he told them. I saw it with my own eyes. He threw one of us across stone walls as if he were nothing. This is no accident. This is corruption. If left alive, he will rise above us all. Fear and anger echoed in every corner of the village. The council called for a meeting, their voices heavy with judgment. Daniel stood outside the gathering hall with Leora, his chest tight. He could hear the murmur of voices inside, rising and falling like a storm. He didn't need to understand the language to know what they debated him. They will not let us stay, Daniel said quietly. Leora's golden eyes were troubled. Worse, they will not let you live. Daniel looked at her. And you? She hesitated. Then she whispered, They will say I betrayed my people, that I broke the ancient law by touching you, by taking you to the forbidden place. They will cast me out, or kill me too. The words chilled him, but before he could answer, the doors of the hall burst open. The elders stepped out, followed by guards with glowing spears. The scarred warrior stood proudly at their side, his eyes burning with hatred. One elder spoke with a voice like iron. Leora translated, her voice trembling. They say you must be taken, studied. They will test the truth of your body. If it is as he says. She stopped, her eyes flicking to Daniel's. They will destroy you. Daniel's jaw tightened. So I'm just a thing to them now, a weapon or a threat? The guards advance, surrounding him. Daniel's hands clenched, but he did not move. He could feel their eyes on him, waiting for any excuse. Leora stepped forward, her body tense, her voice sharp as she shouted at the elders in her own tongue. The words were fierce, desperate. The villagers gasped, and the scarred warrior snarled. Daniel leaned closer. What did you say? Her voice dropped to a whisper only he could hear. I said I will not let them take you. The scarred warrior barked an order. The guards lunged. In that moment, Leora made her choice. She reached for Daniel's hand. The surge exploded through him, hotter and stronger than ever before. His vision sharpened until he could see every detail, the flicker of the guards' weapons, the rapid rise of their chests, the fear hidden in their eyes. His body moved faster than thought, seizing a spear and snapping it in two with a single motion. The guards stumbled back, shock freezing them. The scarred warrior shouted again, but his voice cracked with something more than anger - fear. Daniel stood tall, the glow of power burning in his veins. I didn't want this, he said, his voice steady but filled with rage. But I won't be your experiment." The villagers gasped at the sight. The elder's eyes narrowed with cold fury. "Run," Leora whispered, tugging his arm. Together, they broke through the line of guards. Daniel's strength cleared a path, his movements unstoppable as long as her hand was in his. They sprinted into the glowing forest, the cries of alarm chasing after them, the sound of horns echoing into the night. They ran until their lungs burned, until the shouts faded into the distance. Finally, they collapsed in a clearing, hidden. Beneath towering crystal trees, Daniel fell to his knees, his chest heaving. The glow of strength began to fade, leaving him shaking, his body returning to normal. He looked at Leora, sweat running down his face. "Oh, you hadn't touched me. They would have taken me." Leora's eyes softened, but her voice was heavy with sorrow. "Now they will never stop. They have seen too much. The whole village will hunt us." Daniel nodded grimly. "Then we can't go back." For the first time, he saw something break. In her expression, the weight of leaving her people behind, the people she had sworn to protect. He reached for her hand, not for strength this time, but comfort. She did not pull away. "They were never going to understand," Daniel said quietly. "Not if the truth scares them more than the danger outside." Leora looked at him, her golden eyes shimmering in the alien night. "Do you understand, human? This power between us? It is not just healing, it is awakening. It is changing you." Daniel's heart pounded. "Changing me into what?" Her voice was low, almost a whisper. "Of fear into something my people could never control. Something even you may not control." The silence that followed was heavy, filled with uncertainty. But one thing was clear. They had crossed a line that could never be undone. The forest swallowed them whole. For days, Daniel and Leora wandered far from the village, deeper into lands where even her people rarely traveled. The glowing trees grew taller, their branches twisting into living arches. Strange creatures watched them from the shadows, eyes gleaming with curiosity or hunger. Daniel carried what little food they had, his body sore yet resilient. Since the night of their escape, something had been different. Even when Leora wasn't touching him, he felt stronger. Not as much as before, but enough that he noticed. His wounds closed faster. His breathing recovered quicker. And when he clenched his fists, a faint warmth stirred inside, echoing her presence even when she wasn't near. He didn't tell her at first. But she noticed. One morning, as he lifted a fallen log to clear a path, Leora stopped and stared. The weight should have broken him. Yet he moved it with only a grunt. "You touched me last night," she said carefully. "But that cannot explain. The power should fade without me." Daniel lowered the log and wiped sweat from his brow. "It hasn't faded. Not completely. It's like..." A spark stayed behind. Her golden eyes narrowed. "That is not possible." He gave a dry laugh. Neither was healing from death in a single touch. But here we are. They walked on in silence, but Daniel could see the storm in her face. Fear, wonder, and something else, something softer. That night, they made camp in a cave lit by crystals that glowed with pale blue light. Daniel sat near the entrance, sharpening a stick into a spear. Leora sat across from him, her hands resting in her lap, her gaze never leaving him. Finally, she spoke. "You are changing. I feel it when I look at you. Your body responds even. When I am not close, do you not fear this?" Daniel stared into the glowing crystals. "Fear? Yeah. But I've been afraid since the crash. Afraid of dying alone. Afraid of being forgotten. Now, for the first time, I don't feel weak. I feel alive." Leora's voice lowered. "Alive, yes. But also bound. To me." Daniel met her eyes. "Do you regret it?" The question hung heavy between them. She did not answer right away. Then, in a whisper, she said, "No, I regret nothing." Silence fell, broken only by the hum of the crystals. And for the first time, Daniel realized it wasn't just survival binding them together. It was something deeper, something neither of them had dared to name. The next day, the bond revealed itself in a new way. They were ambushed as they crossed a ridge. A beast burst from the underbrush, massive predator with claws like blades and skin as black as night. Its roar shook the ground. Daniel froze, his spear trembling in his hand. But when the creature charged, instinct took over. He stepped forward, his body moving faster than thought. His spear drove deep into its chest. The beast howled, thrashing violently. Daniel's muscles screamed with effort, yet strength flowed through him like a river. He shoved the creature back, finishing it with a final strike. When the fight ended, the beast lay still at his feet. Daniel's chest heaved. But his body, his human body, had done what should have been impossible. Leora approached slowly, her golden eyes wide. She touched his arm gently. "I did not give you strength then. You fought alone." Daniel dropped the spear, his hands shaking. "I know. That's what scares me." She studied him, her face unreadable. "It means the bond has gone deeper. My touch woke something inside you. Now it grows without me. Human, you are no longer only human." The word struck him harder than the beast's roar. No longer only human, but even as fear gripped him, part of him felt a dangerous thrill. He had stood against a monster of this world and won. That night, Daniel and Leora sat close to the fire. The silence between them was heavy, charged. Finally, Daniel broke it. "Leora, what happens if this power keeps growing?" Her eyes glimmered. "In the firelight, and you will become something neither of our people can control. My people will fear you more, and yours may not accept you back." Daniel looked down at his hands, flexing them slowly. He felt the warmth beneath his skin, the echo of her touch still alive. "Then, where do I belong?" Leora reached out, her fingers brushing his. The surge was faint, but still there. "With me?" she whispered. "Where else?" The words struck deep, filling the silence with something more powerful than fear connection. For a long time, they sat in the glow of the fire, her hand resting against his, their bond undeniable. But outside the cave, hidden in the trees, eyes were watching. Warriors of her tribe, silent and patient. Tracking them since the night of their escape. The secret was no longer theirs alone. And soon, the whole world would know what he was becoming. The choice the chase ended in the ruins of an ancient temple, half buried in the glowing earth. Daniel and Leora had fled for days, but the warriors never stopped following. Now, surrounded by cracked pillars and broken carvings of forgotten gods, there was nowhere left to run. Torches lit the shadows. Dozens of warriors stepped into the clearing, spears glowing with deadly energy. At their center stood the scarred warrior, his golden eyes burning with hatred. He raised his hand, his voice echoing. "There is no more hiding. The elders demand the human's capture. He is not one of us. He is not one of his own. He is a weapon." Daniel stood tall, though his chest burned with exhaustion. Leora stepped beside him, her golden eyes fierce, her voice sharp. "No, he is more than that. He is proof our people were wrong to bury the truth." Her defiance drew gasps, but the scarred warrior sneered. "You betrayed us for him. You betrayed your blood." The soldiers advanced. Daniel's hand brushed against Leora's. The surge roared through him. Fire and thunder in his veins. Vision sharpened, his muscles alive with unstoppable force. He could fight them all. He could break through, escape. But as the power rose, another truth whispered in his mind. Every time he used it, he changed. Every time, he became less human. He tightened his grip on her hand. Leora, if I fight, I'll become the monster they fear. Her golden eyes softened. And if you don't fight, they will kill you, or take you. I will not let them. The warriors circled closer, weapons raised. The scarred warrior pointed his spear. Choose, human, submit, or be destroyed. Daniel looked at the crowd. He saw fear in their eyes, but also curiosity. They didn't only hate him, they didn't understand him. And fear filled the gap where understanding should have been. His choice came not in anger, but in clarity. He stepped forward, still holding Leora's hand, and raised his voice. I don't want to be your weapon. I don't want to be your enemy. I don't want power. All I want is her. Gasps spread through the crowd. The warriors froze. Even the scarred one hesitated, but the bond answered his words. Light burst from their joined hands, flooding the ruins with brilliance. The ancient carvings glowed, the walls trembling as if alive. Energy surged around them, wrapping them in a radiant halo. Daniel felt it deep inside, not just strength, but something greater. Connection. Unity. Leora's eyes widened, tears glimmering. It is the bond, the true bond. This is what our ancestors feared, and what they longed for. The warriors stumbled back, shielding their eyes. The scarred warrior shouted, but his voice was drowned by the hum of power filling the air. Daniel stood tall, his voice steady. You call me dangerous. You call me a curse. But look, this is not destruction. This is life. This is strength when we are together, not apart. The light dimmed slowly, leaving silence heavy in its wake. The scarred warrior growled, his pride. Refusing to bend, he lunged, spear raised high. But before he reached them, Leora stepped forward, her golden eyes blazing. With a single gesture, she deflected his strike, the bond flowing through her as much as Daniel. The spear shattered against the stone. The warrior fell to his knees, defeated not by force, but by proof. The council elders stepped forward at last. Their faces were grave, their voices quiet. After a long silence, one spoke. Leora translated, her voice trembling. They say, what was forbidden has returned. They cannot deny what they saw. They will not stop fearing it, but neither can they destroy it. Daniel looked at Leora. What does that mean? Her voice softened. It means we are free. Free to walk away. Free to live, but we cannot return. Not to them. Not to your people. Only to each other. Daniel exhaled. Slowly, the weight of choice pressing on him. He looked at the temple, the carvings, the people who had chased them, and finally at Leora. And then he smiled. Then, that's enough for me. They left the temple together, hand in hand. Behind them, the village would whisper of the human who grew stronger at her touch, the man who became something more. Some would call him a threat, others a legend. But for Daniel, none of that mattered. What mattered was that he was no longer alone. That in a world where he should have died forgotten, he had found someone who made him more than he was. The forest welcomed them as they walked into the unknown. Not human, not aliens, something new. Something born of two worlds carried forward. By a bond no fear could break, and though danger still lurked in the shadows of the galaxy, one truth burned brighter than all. Together, they were unstoppable.